Welcome to today's episode of Vision Alignment, where we all need to understand that we all have blindness in our lives. If we can understand that, then we can understand how important it is for our vision to be aligned with our core goals, or our core beliefs, our core strengths, our core values. That is so important for us all to understand. So we've got a special guest coming on today, and I'm not going to tell you his name, but I'm going to tell you that he is going to set your world on fire. Good morning.
Hey, good morning. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm awesome. Thank you very much.
Well, tell me, when is your earliest recollection of knowing your vision?
Wow. So I can think that I'm just out of college. I'm working for my family's business. My family decides to tell me they're going to sell the business and that I will no longer have a job. I thought, what can I do with my life? And I looked back at what I was best at, and I had been a performer. I worked as a magician, starting out as a kid at birthday parties and eventually working in nightclubs and special events for corporations. And I said, you know what? I don't want to do that, but there's something there that I could probably bring into, doing what I currently do. I saw a couple of motivational speakers. I said, that's it. I can do that. I had the background and the stage experience. I had some business experience. I'd gone to college. And I said, you know what? I think I can make a career out of this. And that was, well, like I say, it was just out of college. It was many, many, many years ago, decades ago.
Awesome. Thank you. Stick around. You'll hear more. Well, if you haven't guessed already by his name, the great Shep Hyken is with us on the show today. So I'm just so appreciative of you going on today, Shep. Thank you very much.
Hey, it's my pleasure. I love that video.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah,
thank you. That's a little bit of my winking and other people winking with me. So. We talk a lot about how important it is for us all to understand what makes us unique. And so what makes me unique is, most people would say it's my eye, it's my wink, but it's not what makes me unique. What makes me unique is my positive personality. How I'm able to share my story with other people to have an impact on life. So much like you've had an impact on many, many people's lives. So tell us and tell our viewers, before we get started, I want to have our viewers please share this video out with as many people as you can think of, just to make this community as large as possible. It's great to have as many people around as we can. Also, put in your timeline a picture of you winking, much like you saw those other pictures of people winking. Put a picture in your timeline of you winking, and put in a hashtag of Brian with one eye and a hashtag of winking without Wagner. And tag me on it, and you'll be entered into a raffle to win a free signed copy of my book. Now,
cool.
Shep, tell me, you told us a little bit about your story of how you started as a magician, and you had some real good stage time from that. But you've taken things beyond that. What is the biggest factor you think in your success?
Yeah, like you, I'm very positive. So things happen to people. What happened to you, I'm not sure how you ended up, with the wink, the blindness, whatever you want to call it. But it's obvious that you embraced it as not something that's going to hold you back, but something that's just there, and you've got to work to find your way around it. So, I had my entire life thought, you know what, I'm going to work for the family. They own some gas stations. It seemed like a nice little business. I was kind of excited to be in it. I was learning a lot, and I was working with them summer jobs since I was a teenager. And, when you get the rug pulled out from under you, go, what am I going to do now? Yeah. And I remember hanging out with some friends of mine, my mentors, John Ferrara and Kim Tucci. And we were talking about what I can do. And I remember John saying, well, the first thing you need to do is figure out how to make money. You want to wait tables? They owned restaurants. I'll give you a job waiting tables. I go, I don't mind waiting tables. Maybe I'll go back to doing magic shows and working the tables, doing close-up magic. I used to do that. And that's actually how I became great friends with them. Because in addition to, even though I was working for the family a little bit, I had my hobby, and the hobby was doing magic shows, working in nightclubs, that kind of thing. Anyway, I said to myself, I remember getting bored doing the same shows over and over again. How can I make that really interesting for me? And I took what was bothering me and I flipped it around. And next thing you know, I'm going, well, this is an invigorating type of job. Every client is different. Yeah, I'm going to go on stage. I'm going to do what I do. But every client, I tweak it a little bit. I learn about their business. I get to talk to new people. And it's very interactive, the whole process, from the moment the phone rings and we start talking to each other to the time I'm on stage, and now virtually on stage doing all the virtual presentations that I do. But it's all very custom. So I seldom ever get bored doing what I do.
Yeah. So, to learn more about Shep, you can go to hyken.com, and he's got it up there on his name as well. But scrolling across the bottom, you can find out more about Shep and all that. So yes, I'm sure you're never bored. I had a chance to watch your demo video, and there are a number of things that come from that really make me wonder, how do you do it? So, I mean, it's hard. That's a hard question, but if you can't answer that one, tell me a little bit about maybe some obstacles you still have, or you're still trying to address outside of COVID.
Yeah, outside. Well, I mean, we could go back to the original obstacle of that. Even though I was performing a lot as a magician, I can't tell you I didn't have stage fright. I had stage fright that was unbelievable. I know that I'd be in front of an audience and I'm wondering, can they see that my legs are shaking? Early in my career, if the audience got above 100, 150, I didn't know if I could handle that number of people in the audience. And you keep pushing yourself and pushing yourself. Well, I mean, that's what I've done my whole life. I've pushed myself to find new ways to break through, to be better at what I do, to learn more, to try new ideas. And by the way, I love this. When I went to my first National Speakers Association meeting back in the 1980s, I came back with 2 notebooks filled with notes. Do you know what most people do with those notes? They just look at them. They set them aside and they feel they've learned a lot. Well, I look at them and I think to myself, what is it in these notes that I'm going to start doing tomorrow? And I create this list of the top 10 things I need to do from the last 4 days that I spent learning. And I just hit them one right after the other. Today I go to those meetings, and if I come back with an index card filled with 2 or 3, actionable ideas, hey, I'm taking myself to the next level. Well, COVID hit us. You talk about an obstacle, a disruption, a brick wall. In the speaking business, we're paid to get on a stage at a conference where, in my case, there could be thousands of people. That's gone. It's not coming back. It hasn't come back in the last year, and it's probably not going to come back probably at least for another 6 months or maybe even a year. Yeah. So what do I do? Well, I can sit there and, cry and say, woe is me. I'm just like everyone else. Or I could say, wow, I do some other things. How can I maximize that? How can I use those opportunities? I'm still good on stage. I'm good at presenting. Why don't I just take it virtual, as many of my colleagues have done? I have behind me is a studio on the other side of that wall. It's not a huge studio, but in the time right after we hit that brick wall in March, I said, it's not coming back soon. I started doing my research. I called B&H Photo up in New York. I don't know how many times, and I talked to their salespeople, and they sent me. I bought several cameras. I bought new webcams. I bought really good cameras with really expensive lenses. I bought microphones. I really went all in with the opportunity of turning this moment of misery, as I like to call it, the disruption of my business, into a moment of magic, to play off of that magic show idea. Perfect. That's exactly what happened. Huh. I've always done these virtual meetings in the past, webinars and that type of thing, maybe 12, 15 a year. Well, now I'm doing 12 or 15 a month. And actually, as much as I love getting on a plane and flying to a nice city and speaking to a group of people. I kind of like being at home every night with my wife too. This is really nice. So it's kind of nice to be out. Yeah.
Yeah. I like sharing a bed with my wife too. It's a nice thing.
So just a real quick, kind of a metaphor to like how this all plays out. And let's get outside of my business. One of the things I was looking for early on was clients or companies just in general that had figured out how to make this change. Some people call it a pivot. If you pivot, you turn your back on something. I don't ever want to turn my back on the past. I think that's coming back, and I'm going to be even better for it as a result of what's happened. But a friend of mine was in the restaurant business, and small little restaurant, open primarily like middle of the day for lunch, really a great sandwich place. And he was forced to shut down. Best he could do was curbside service and delivery, which was just, he was already doing some of that anyway. But he had to start thinking about, am I going to lay off my employees? Well, what he did is he noticed that grocery stores were allowed to stay open, that if you sold food items as if you're a market or a grocery store, you get to stay open. So what he did was he took all of the items that went to his sandwiches and he packaged them individually, and you can come in and shop for those items. And so he was able to stay open, even though he was at one point considered a restaurant that should be closed.
Interesting.
And that's what I did. And that's what many of us have done and don't even realize it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I would not be doing these lives without COVID. It's pushed me to do a lot of different things. And it's been great. It's been hard at times, getting people to come on the show and to make sure they're interesting like you. I'm just blown away by your graces to come on and other people.
My pleasure.
Yeah. So this has been phenomenal.
Well, one of the questions, I think, I know we're kind of having a conversation here, so I'm not asking you this question, but I'm asking everybody to think about this question. One of the ideas that I had was I used to do these virtual dinners where a company would hire me to go to a city and have dinner with their top 10 customers or prospects. I would kick off the conversation with a little bit of insight into what my world is in customer service and experience. And then I would start asking questions and then let the audience give us all these answers. And it was a great share. And one of the questions I asked, which I think is appropriate for everybody, is what changed since March 13th here in the US last year, but it happened in other dates in other countries. But what changed that is you're not going to go back to doing it the old way? I mean, you changed it, you made it, you made a pivot or showed flexibility or whatever you want to call it. And you know what? It worked so well. I'm glad this happened because now I'm even better for it. And I'm amazed at the answers that companies give me, that executives give me to that. And it's fascinating. And I could ask you the same question, Brian. What are you doing different? Well, this is one of them. I did the same thing. I actually came up with this idea while everybody was in quarantine that we should do quarantine training. So on a weekly basis, I bought into the whole StreamYard concept. I got my LinkedIn Live set up, and I started doing a weekly training session on each one of the books that I'd written. And after like 7 weeks ago, okay, now I've run out of books. What am I going to do?
Now what?
Yeah, no, but I just started coming up with ideas, and you know what? We even did the Amazement Summit where I asked a bunch of my buddies to come on, and we used StreamYard, and we streamed it. We had hundreds of people on our live, on Facebook and LinkedIn and all, so whatever the other platforms are. Yeah. And we just all decided, you know what? This is the best way that we can be seen. Because, by the way, one of the ways as a speaker you keep your business going is when you're on stage, somebody in the audience says, hey, that would be great for my company, or that would be great for, an event that we're having. Well, when you're not doing events, what are you going to do? So you have to create these events for your clients. Yeah.
It's hard to get those referrals. That's for sure. There's some really good people that are on the line here. Our friend, Kenny Mayberry, Radical Visions Blessings. He's a great guy, and he is from Indiana, so a little closer to you. Not quite you, but Kenny's a good guy. And there's some other people that are. If you're on, please put in the hashtag live. If you're listening to this replay, put in hashtag replay. But if you're doing that, please let us know where you're coming in from. I'd love to hear all about where you're coming in from. So that's great. Well, yeah. So there's a lot there. So tell me, you mentioned a restaurant. You went to a friend's restaurant and a friend who had a restaurant. So tell me a little bit about, and this is more of a off-topic question, but tell me what your favorite kind of food is.
Oh, I love Italian food. Pastas. Oh, delicious pastas, chickens and veals, pounded with the white wine, lemon, and butter sauce on it. Oh, it's awesome. That's my favorite. And of course, I love diner food too. Boy, give me a good burger and fries, or in the morning, give me a breakfast from a diner. Give me some, ham and eggs or
greasy spoon.
Greasy spoon.
Yeah. What's your favorite kind of pizza?
Well, I love bacon. So you can give me a regular bacon pizza with mozzarella cheese, and you make me a real happy man.
A regular bacon pizza with mozzarella cheese. Huh. Interesting. That is interesting.
What about you? What's your favorite food?
Oh man, I love pizza as well. I mean, pizza is where it's at for me. I mean, I make my own pizza. We get the crust from a company here in Columbus called Aldino's, and they have it's pre-cooked, I think, pizza crust, and we put it in the oven, and we heat it up. Actually, we put real ingredients. So like I'll put green peppers, onions, pepperonis, mushrooms. My wife loves what are they called? These mushrooms are baby bellas.
Baby bellas. Are these the ones that give you the hallucinations?
I don't know. I've not had that problem.
and that's funny. One of the things we do, and by the way, whether you buy the pizza shell or you make your pizza dough from scratch, which is fun too, we have pizza contests where each of us, like my daughter, because of COVID, she lived in New York. She came back here to St. Louis. She was with us for 11 weeks, which is a great gift. By the way, I see that Kenneth says, next time you're in Louisville, Kentucky, look me up at Annie's Pizza. Oh, man, I can't wait for that. I don't know when I'll be back in Louisville, but I'm looking forward to that moment. So look for me. And by the way, I like your haircut there.
Oh, yeah. Kenny, he's awesome. You and Kenny have something in common.
Yeah. But anyway, we have these pizza contests. And I like making barbecue chicken pizza with bacon on it, of course, chunks of bacon. And I like putting caramelized onions on it. Instead of regular tomato sauce, I use barbecue sauce. And so I can't tell you I've won the pizza contest every time, but we've had a lot of fun making all these different pizzas with the family members and friends, but like my daughter, she was in and we did it a couple of times. We had a lot of fun.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So it's all a part of your vision, right? So tell me a little bit more about your vision and maybe if you would tell me what brings you clarity to get to that vision.
Sure. So I think that my vision, if I had to describe it in one word, I would say positive vision. I see, and I'm not just saying this, I think I've a number of my friends, I'm in business organizations where we'll go on retreats and we'll talk about, what attributes, and people say, I have this almost childlike optimism outlook on life. By the way, I'm very serious about my optimism. I'm realistically optimistic, but I like to try and have fun and do things, and that's why I love what I do. So, but back to what is my vision? I see a good future. I believe, and I have a personal mantra, and a business mantra, and a life aspiration. I'll tell you what they are. Personal mantra is to have fun and make the kids smile. And as I get older, it's going to be grandkids one day. Okay. Number two, in business, I want to always be amazing. And I want to be amazing to my clients. And I want to teach them to be amazing to their customers, clients, guests, members, whatever they want to call the people they do business with. And my aspiration is that I want to live 1,000 years. And what that means, and I don't know if you've heard that saying before, but to me, what it means is that you have your actual life of however many years you live. And my goal, by the way, is to play golf when I'm 100. And if I'm healthy enough to play golf when I'm 100, I'm probably not going to die when I'm 100. It may take a few more years after that. So I've got a little bit of time left. But
That's good.
living 1,000 years, let's say I live 100 years. Well, you didn't live 1,000 years. No, I didn't live, my actual age of 1,000 years, but my experiences. So a friend of mine, you might enjoy bringing him on the show, Giovanni Lavira. Gio, also a magician, but also a speaker. He wrote a book called Live 1,000 Years, and I took that book to heart. And there's an assessment in that book that it has your sage age and your experiential age, or whatever it is, or I guess you're kind of combined. And have you lived the experiences, and what's your experiential age, if you will? And I was 800 and something years old based on experiences. So, by the way, I don't have a bucket list. So from that point of vision, I don't need a bucket list. If I had one thing I want to make sure I do more of, and it's just, I want to spend more time with my wife, and I love my kids, and that's it. There's nothing else. But I experience things, and I say, oh, that looks like fun. I'm going to go do that. I had a speech in New Zealand, and I thought, well, wouldn't it be fun? Because that's where bungee jumping pretty much started. I'm going to go bungee jumping while I'm in New Zealand. I didn't say, oh, one day I'm going to go bungee jumping. I just said, hey, I've now been booked to do a speech in New Zealand. I'm going to do the bungee jump.
Wow.
While I'm in Africa, I want to go diving with the sharks. What is that? Now, by the way, I couldn't do it because the seas were too rough that day.
Wow.
And it's not on a bucket list, but if I go back to Africa, I'm going to make sure I spend an extra day there.
Wow.
So that's my vision. My vision in life is to take it as it comes and just be open-minded enough and keep your eyes wide open, metaphorically speaking, to accept and recognize when those opportunities are in front of you. Yeah.
Yeah. Having eyes open is a hard thing for me, but
well, that's why I said metaphorically speaking, but I think you metaphorically speaking have done that. I mean, look at, you're a very optimistic person, and you obviously take advantage of what's in front of you. Not when I say take advantage, that's not a bad thing. No.
You
embrace what's in front of you. Maybe
right. Because I know I have a message to share, much like you have a message to share, and we do everything we can to get that message out. So that's important.
Yeah. Well, today you're hearing motivational Shep, which you don't hear much of. I mean, I'm motivational in style, but you're hearing, like my thoughts. I'm hired to talk about customer service and experience, and I make it fun and entertaining, but you're getting the inside scoop on me.
I love that. I love getting the inside scoop. I mean, we could talk about your demo video, but I mean, the demo video is there, and we can have that. We can listen to that. So you talk about 67%, 70% of customers or satisfied customers don't return. You talk about the F-bomb, which is fine.
The F-bomb, by the way, is fine. Yeah, which is fine. So people, it's not the F-bomb you think it is. Fine, F-I-N-E, is the F-bomb of customer service. Because when people go, how is everything? It's fine. What does fine mean?
Yeah. So back up a little bit and tell us a little bit of how you do this. How do you? You talked about clarity, but I mean, how do you recharge at the end of the day?
So, at the end of the day, I go to sleep just as most people do. And, how do I define success? Waking up in the morning and being able to get out of bed? No, I don't know. I first of all, I love what I do. There's no doubt at the end of the day, sometimes a little tired. There's, I have lots of interest in hobbies. You can see the guitars behind me. I don't know if you can see, I mentioned the magic shows. I've got pictures of some famous magicians. Today I found out there's a picture on the wall of Siegfried and Roy from Las Vegas with me. And Roy, as you know, had the terrible accident. Maybe you don't know, where a lion, because they did the act with the lions and the tigers, caused him, the accident there where he had a stroke and he's passed away. Well, Siegfried just passed away this morning.
Oh, really?
Last night. Yeah, of pancreatic cancer. And, I guess 81 years old, I think.
Oh, wow.
So lived a great life, but which By the way, it reminds you, especially with COVID-19 and the death that we're seeing, life is precious, and do the things you love. But how do I recharge? I'm a magician. I'm a musician. At home, I've got a bunch of guitars that I play with, and they all sound different. My wife doesn't think so, but I do. I've got a piano. I've got drums. So
wow.
I go into my room, my man cave, which is not a huge room, but it's a cool room.
You do all that?
What's that?
You do all that?
Yeah, I do. I've got
Wow.
2,000 magic books in my man cave.
Yeah.
I can learn card tricks. I can do whatever. I can play my guitars. I can get on YouTube. I play guitar with John Mayer and Eric Clapton.
What?
Every night on YouTube, I go and I search out their videos and I play along with them. So,
that's
I don't get bored. I go home and I my mind shifts. By the way, here's something cool. Those guitars, they're not just there for show. When everybody leaves, if I've had a really I've been concentrating on writing articles, or I've been on the phone all day, when everybody leaves the office, I pick up my guitar, I play for 20 minutes, and it does something to my brain, and it makes it shift to a more calmer place. Maybe it opens up the creativity. I don't know what it does, but then I go back to work. I feel great.
Well, tell us a little bit about what your mornings. You have a morning routine?
Yeah, like I said, get out of bed. Let's do it musical. Wake up, get out of bed, ran the comb across my head. Yeah, okay, that's a Beatles song. But no, 4 mornings a week. Are you ready for this? I play ice hockey. If I'm in town, not speaking somewhere, I play in morning men's leagues on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday. Sunday mornings, I'll play golf in the summertime. I'll ride my bike. I ride with a group of guys, and that keeps me in shape. And on the couple of days that I don't play hockey or work out in the morning, that's just my day to let my body rejuvenate. And and I actually, instead of getting up at 5:30, I get up at 5:40. No, I don't know. It's my routine. By the way, I heard something really interesting yesterday. I have, for the last 20 some odd years, gone to the strategic coach program, Dan Sullivan strategic coach program. And yesterday, somebody talked about how they are now on day 387 of every single morning getting up and working out.
Wow.
And the concept that he was talking about is, if you give yourself a day off, say, oh, you know what, I'm just going to take a day off. It's real easy to give yourself the next day off too. 100% in is easier than 96% in, is what he was saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a pretty cool concept.
Is that the same Dan Sullivan that wrote the book, Who Not How?
It is. It just came out with that book, Who Not How. It's a great book.
Yeah. So I just picked it up. So I haven't read it yet.
So the gist of that is, and since the very beginning of my days with Dan Sullivan, which actually were 4 or 5 years even before I went to his program, because I would see him at conferences and hear him speak, he kept talking about this thing called unique ability. What are you really, really good at that you need to be doing? And he created the 4 quadrants, just like Covey created the 4 quadrants of urgent, important, not urgent, those types of things.
Right.
And he said, there's certain things that you're really good at that you should be doing. There's certain things that you love doing, even though you're not that good at, that you are allowed to do. There's certain things you love doing that you shouldn't do, and certain things you're not good at, just don't do. He created this quadrant. And what he was saying is his unique ability, and figure out what you're really, really great at, and then surround yourself with the people who can support that and do what you're not supposed to be doing. So whenever we say, okay, I've got a project, and this is what we want to accomplish, now who's going to be responsible for that? It's not going to be me. I'm the visionary. I may be part of it, but there's people around me that are going to deliver and help me achieve that goal that I have, or success that I'm trying to achieve.
Right. That allows you to focus on your strengths and not worry about your weaknesses.
Yep. You get people around you. Those are the who's.
Well, what books are you reading these days?
Oh my gosh. I get sent books every single week. People send me books. They want me to review them. They want me to write about them. Here's a great book right behind me. This I actually got this last year, and I read it about halfway. It's called No Forms, No Spam, No Cold Calls. And some of this I greatly agree with. And it's by Latane Conant. Now, I had no idea who Latane Conant is. I have no idea why I was sent this book, other than somebody probably wanted me to write about it. But let me tell you who she is. It turns out that her father is Vic Conant from Nightingale Conant, the people that created the audio programs that I listened to, Earl Nightingale, talking about, how to be successful in life back, in the 1980s. So, full circle. Other books that I'm reading. Oh, there's a great book here. I have them. I'll make sure I give you the right titles as long as we're here. This one just came out. This guy, John Worslow. It's called The Art of Selling Your Business. I don't have any interest in selling my business, but I love this author. He wrote a great book called The Automatic Customer, which is one of the first books about the subscription model, which everybody should be in. Anyway, I love this guy's work. This is a really interesting book, kind of motivational in style. The Art of the Impossible. Haven't started this. Oh, this one. Ruthless Consistency. There is... I just wrote an article for Forbes. I write a weekly column in Forbes.com. And what I loved about, there was a chapter in here about nobody has a sustainable competitive advantage. And no matter what you're doing that makes you competitive today, somebody's going to come along and unseat you if you don't continue to push yourself forward. So anyway, this is great. And then everybody sends me customer service books because, sometimes I think on this one, I was one of the, I gave him a quote. He used it on a back and the front cover.
Oh, wow. That's nice.
Yeah. Oysen Brown, the Binman's Guide to Amazing Customer Service. So I probably read about a book a week or so, maybe not super in depth, but, when I get to a book like this, you study a book like this. This is what I tell my clients. Many of my clients, they can sponsor my website, or actually my YouTube channel. They sponsor my blog. They sponsor my podcast. And what they do is they send people, hey, if you want to learn more about us, go to this website. And they send people to a website. And they get to the website. It's like, well, if you really want to know more about us, before we can give you that information, you have to give us your name, your phone number, your email address. And so we may send 100 people to their website, and maybe only 2 people ever fill out that extra form. Hence, no forms. So don't gate it. It's called gating your content when you put a gate around it. But what you can do is give them such good content that now to go to the next level, they have to share their information. And by that time, they're in. They love you. Those are the people that you want anyway.
Yeah, well, that's great information. Shep, I'm sorry, I only had you for half an hour, and we're over our time already.
We're having such a good time, aren't we?
Oh man, this is awesome. I am so appreciative of you coming on today. Hopefully you'll come back. Hopefully, we can get to a point where we have other conversations with the Giovanni, the Gio that you mentioned.
Giovanni Rivera. And when you have me come back next time, I'll have a new book that's coming out in September of this year. But we can talk about it because in the next month or so, you'll be able to purchase that book. And it will be, and it's all about coming back. It's actually called I'll Be Back, how to get customers to come back again and again. So I'll be back if you will have me back.
I love it. I will. So I love what you said in your video. It's not about a lifetime customer. It's all about the next time.
Yeah. And every time, if you focus on the next time, it can become a lifetime.
Yeah.
That's in the book as well.
Great information. Thank you so much.
Hey, Brian, thank you very much. It's great to be here. A pleasure.
Can I ask you hang out in the green room for a little bit while I close out the show?
I'm waiting for you. All
right. Sounds good. Thanks, Shep. Wow. More great information. How does this happen? Oh, Shep Hyken just blew us away. what great information. All this, I mean, I'm just so appreciative of him and other people like him that have come on the show. So can't think of enough. But let's talk about tomorrow. Tomorrow we have two shows coming up at 10 o'clock Eastern. We're going to have Vision Alignment. And with Vision Alignment, we're going to have on Tom Shubbleton. And Tom is going to be talking about his vision and how it's aligned with his core beliefs, his core values. And we'll understand a little bit more about him and how he's doing that. So that's at 10 o'clock. At 11:30, we have Stroke of Genius. And Stroke of Genius is a show that it's me. It's talking about people with disabilities. And I'll talk a little bit more about my disabilities and how I've been able to overcome some of them. And I've been able to adapt to others. And also talk a little bit more about our caregivers and the caregivers in the world that have helped us to get to the point of where we are today. So without any further ado, I want to make sure that we close out the show today. And thank you so much for being on. I appreciate you all. And as always, keep one eye on the road.